Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're checking out the latest offering from Eufy, a 4G LTE wireless solar powered security camera. Yeah, that intro line was pretty long. However, this thing has so many features. Just a simple intro line was not gonna cut it because this guy can do so much. We got 360-degree camera. It does pan, tilt, zoom. It has a self-sustaining solar panel so that if you get as little as 2 hours of sunlight, this guy can charge itself to run all day. Has color night vision, 4K video, and first thing we see when we open the box is our beautiful solar panel. This guy is much bigger than all the other solar panels on any of my other cameras, and that's why in just 2 hours it's able to acquire a whole day's worth of power. Yeah. And then I also mentioned at the beginning that it comes with a it uses 4G LTE. It does work with Wi-Fi if you have the Eufy HomeBase 3 that I have right here. It also works with that. However, it comes with a SIM card that is compatible with Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, so you can set it up for a cell phone plan and have it work anywhere that you can get cell phone coverage or Wi-Fi. So if you have like a cabin up in the woods and you're like, we don't have internet up here, but we'd love to have a security camera to keep an eye on the place, boom, you're all set. So it does come with expandable memory. So this is something I've been asking for a long time, since like the beginning of like me reviewing Eufy products. Like when I was buying them myself, Eufy sent this to me to review. But when I started buying Eufy products, I was like, I wish they had expandable memory. Now they're starting with sending you a 32 gigabyte memory card, but you can use up to a 128 gigabyte memory card. Inside of here we have some papers. We got a drilling template or guide for the solar panel and for the camera itself. If where you want to mount the camera is a little bit in the shade, you can run the solar panel up to where you're going to have sunlight, boom, all day power. And then we also have our quick start guide here. Quick fold out. I love how short these are. They just direct you to the app. We also get the new Eufy security logo here, so you can throw that on the window of your cabin. Heck, you could even mount this guy on like your RV or a camper. If you have like one of those tiny houses that you put on a trailer and you tow out to wherever, throw it on there. You now have security wherever you are with 4G LTE. Mounting screws, a USB-C cable, a strap. This will be used to hold the camera up while we're mounting it. Our mounting base for, I believe this will be for our solar panel, and this one looks like it's going to be for the camera itself. We got lots of little goodies in this one, and the piece de resistance, our swiveling pan, tilt, zoom, 360 degree security camera. There we go. This guy is adjustable to look around wherever there is motion. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And then we have a ring here that is our spotlight so that it can see. And then of course the obligatory. I'm excited about this guy. All of the things that this guy can do. Look how straight down. So you're looking at it the other way, but like this will look straight down below itself too. I have 2 really good spots for it, and I'm debating where I want to put it. This is going to be great. All right, and this is everything that comes in our packaging. We have our quick start guide, mounting templates, a sticker to show that you have security, our solar panel with the charging cable pre-attached, the mount for that, our security camera, the charging cable, a mount for that, a micro SD card, the SIM card, mounting hardware, and a strap for the installation. So let's go ahead and dive in to the setup because I cannot wait. So you'll start by opening your Eufy security app. If you already have devices, you'll hit the plus button in the top right corner above all the cameras there to add new device. This is going to be listed under battery cameras. And then at the top here you can see 4G LTE Cam S330. And then we're going to tell it where we're going to install it. We're just going to say here at the home. And then because we're local, we're going to set it up with Wi-Fi, but you can set it up using 4G. And we'll choose whether we want to use the 4G network or Wi-Fi binding. We'll choose Wi-Fi. We can use the HomeBase 3, which I have right here, as well as you can connect it via the router. I'm going to try and connect it with our HomeBase. Now it tells us to scan the QR code on the back of this guy. There we go. We say connect to the HomeBase 3. And it says keep camera close to HomeBase. Alright, HomeBase is right there. Camera's right here. I think that should be good, right? And then press and hold the sync button for 4 seconds until you hear a beep. There it is. Okay. And then we'll hit next. And it's going to be looking for a QR code.
Add device.
There we go. So this, you don't have to connect via the HomeBase 3. You can just use your regular home Wi-Fi and then use your...
Said device was added successfully.
Perfect. And then use your micro SD card here to upgrade your memory. But in my case, I'll be using this to upgrade my memory on that. Go ahead and hit done. And then we're going to tell it where it's at. We'll just go with backyard. Sure. And then we'll go with optimal surveillance. Really put it to the test in these winter hours. It sees me already. Alright. And hit next. And then we can choose our notifications. I usually go with the full effect, where it sends you a text notification first, not a text message, but like it has text on the screen saying, hey, it sees motion here. And then if it can send more, it'll send you a thumbnail as well. So I go with full effect. But if you want notifications as quick as possible, go with most efficient. If you want, like, hey, make sure I got a thumbnail, I want to be able to actually see what's going on, you can always go with thumbnail as well if you know that there's always going to be good data connection. Go ahead and hit next. So we can now enable the microphone and audio recording. Next. Got it plugged into power. It says make sure it's fully charged. So we'll leave it plugged in for, it says 3 to 5 hours to make sure it's fully charged. Now it's telling us to insert our SIM card. So let's go ahead and just do that. We got our eSIM here. Pop that out. And then here on the back we have Nano SIM. Pop that open. You can see the little picture here. We're going to basically follow that where it's got the little notch in the corner, and then we'll feed it in that way. Just like that. Okay. And then we'll hit next. And now we can add in our micro SD card. So that micro SD card, we're going to have to manually move this up to where you can see the chin of this guy. We can grab our SD card, whether you have one of your own if you want to upgrade it, or this 32 gigabyte one, which is better than most cameras that they send out these days. And again, it shows you how to insert this micro SD card. It's going to be logo towards the lens, and it's resisting me, I'm taking too long here. And then chip towards the body, and then the little notches will be on the logo side, or I guess left side if you're staring at the lens like me. There we go. After installing all those, make sure we close these silicone covers because these are our waterproof seals. So if you leave these open, you do risk electrical damage. So water can get in and damage it, which can totally disable the device if it's not sealed. So mount this mounting bracket. Let's actually just show you here. You can mount it on either this way, which is a pretty intuitive way to do it, where the guide is parallel to it and it just clips in, you just push straight in. Or you pinch these edges to release it. You can do it this way, to where this plate is flush with the back and it's actually going to slide on this way still. So just like you slid it in this way here, it still slides in this direction. You just come in here and clicks in like that. Now you can mount it from above, or you can mount it from behind. Okay, but it says don't try and mount it with the tabs above the body like this. You see that? Don't try and mount it like that. And it says don't try and mount it don't try and mount it like this. no matter what, whenever you mount this, always make sure that the device itself is right side up like this, so that you can always read the Eufy logo. Let's go ahead and continue here so we can get to where we can manage our notifications. So you can see 5 to 33 feet if it's 10 feet up, and you can see 3 to 33 feet if it's 8 feet up. So that's something to keep in mind when you're mounting this. They do recommend, if you have a lane of travel where people are constantly walking in and out, try and have it offset so they're not walking straight at it, because it will have a hard time telling if something is just getting bigger. It may have trouble identifying like, oh hey, that's new motion, versus if something is actually walking across the frame. And they do recommend avoiding places like a street as well as trees that will move often, just because that will set it off a lot more often than it needs to be, or than it can keep up with this solar panel. If it's too busy of an area, you can burn out the battery if you're only getting 2 hours of that sunlight. Now, choosing a spot for the sun. Make sure that the sun is not blocked with a lot of trees. Make sure you don't have a roof over it. Mount it up on the roof, above the gutter, wherever you need to, but get it in a place that will get as much sunlight as possible. That way we can maximize our battery life with this. I clicked out. So now we're at 25% battery, we can see here. So make sure that you fully charge it before we set it up for the first time. All right, at this point, I don't want to dig too much into the app until we can set it up and be able to give you real world examples of how we're using it. So let's go ahead and head outside, get this installed, and we'll show you all of the great features and options that this has to offer us.
This is where we want to mount this camera here. Being able to pan up, down, tilt, left, right, and zoom. I think this might be a fairly ideal location, somewhere along here. I might even mount it a little lower, just so that we can get that 8 to 10 feet height off the ground. I think this right here is our 10 feet. But I want to be able to see, we have a patio with an awning over here. I want to be able to see kind of under that awning as well. About there is going to show a lot of that patio. That should be about 8 feet off the ground. So this is where I want to mount that. So mounting it here, I think Eufy would be really not ecstatic about, but this will give me a view of my driveway that's right here, as well as being able to look around the corner into the backyard here as well. This is going to be fairly ideal location here. So you'll get your square drilling template here, and we'll place it on here, level and centered as we can, just like that. And then we can go ahead and pre-drill for our screws, because this shows us where to do that. So one way to keep these guys kept in there, to thread them through first. And then these side ones look like they can kind of go up and down. Nope, it does not. I don't know why they got that adjustment looking thing there. Let's go ahead and drive this guy in. And then once the other two are set in place, we can get our third one in there and drive everything in. There we go. Now it's as easy as, oh, come on now. Taking this guy, plugging it in just like that, and it's ready to record. And then right here you can see on my screen recording, there we go, that awning I was talking about, how we can now see kind of under it. It's not going to be able to show everything under there, but you can kind of see under there. And it's got a great view of the rest of my entire backyard here. You can see all the way into the corner with my raspberries. You can see, and it's following me over here, over here. Nice. ahead and get the solar panel all set up and connected. Before we go up there, I wanted to show you right here, this is our solar panel. And this is the charger, and you can kind of see there's a gasket here. That gasket will seal on the back of our camera to prevent any water from getting in. But that's just one thing to keep in mind, is this USB-C cord right here, that will seal even though that cover's open. So that's something good to look for. I'm gonna mount this as high as I can reach from this ladder. I'd like to put it higher, but I think this should be fine. We're clear of trees and roofs, but we're gonna go ahead and mount this just right here. I'm gonna get that as high and tight as I can right there. Get our sticker aligned. And just like before, we'll start by pre-drilling our holes. It is so windy today. I'm sorry if there's terrible sound. Now we can start running in these screws. Hopefully that's good enough surface. If not though, it does come with anchor mounts so that you can either put it in a concrete or a soft surface. And if this ends up being a soft surface, we can use those here. All right, and now we can install our solar panel here. This thing is gonna be able to power it up. Like I said, in just 2 hours of daylight, you can get all day power for this guy. And that's because this panel is almost 3 times the size of any of the other panels on Eufy cameras here. All right, after getting it adjusted, we can run our power cable down to our camera here. Just pop open our power port here. There we go. And then push this guy on, just like that. And then if we'd like, we can run it around here, something like that. But we're just gonna run it straight up here into the siding and then bundle all this up here to make it nice and tidy. It comes with a piece of Velcro that's permanently attached. And there we go. It's all installed. We got our wire run up here, tucked in, nice and tidy. And then we bundled up all the extra cable here and wrapped it around our post that comes out to our solar panel. And that'll be able to provide all day power for this guy. All right, so now you can see here in the app, it has a automatic tracker here. This is really cool, and it's actually much quieter than I thought it would be just walking by. Granted, we're still in the daylight, so we can't test the lighting yet, but that is it all installed. And we got our solar panel up here, grabbing all that sunlight. Fairly easy installation. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Let's go ahead and go inside and we can show you some of the features on this guy. All right, let's go ahead and take a tour of the app itself. Starting right here on the main home page for this device, we got our HomeBase connection. So it is connected to our HomeBase 3 right here. That provides extra storage, AI processing. So having the HomeBase do the after processing of AI and all those things, that does help to relieve some of the stress on this 4G LTE solar camera. Back to our main page here, we can go to our motion detection. Starting at the very top, we have motion detection. We can just turn it on or off. And then all of the settings below that are all of the options connected to motion detection. So starting with activity zone. So right here it gives us a little warning. Hey, after setting up an activity zone, you will only be notified if motion occurs in that area. So in activity zones, you'll have to create like presets, and it will then be able to assign like, hey, this preset here will then focus on this area in that preset. So just keep that in mind. It will focus on that specific area for each preset. So in this example here, we'll just add a new zone to watch, and we'll say, you know what, watch our garage door here. That should be easy, right? Just watch the garage door. Okay, and then if we want to go to one of our other activity zones, we can hit here and then say this one. You can see the shape has already changed, and then it moves the camera to that area, and now it's watching just the door. And we can edit that, add more activity zones, delete it, things like that. And then if we want, we can go back to this other zone here. And this one is guarding the grill. So not terribly unintuitive, it's pretty easy to figure out. All right, so that is activity zones. Now we're gonna go down to the next line, which is our detection sensitivity. So
I've actually, as you can see, had to really cut it down to just a level 3 sensitivity because it was picking up cars on the street at the end of my driveway with the 4, 5, 6, and 7. I adjusted the camera down so it's not looking at the street anymore, but I did want to cover the end of my driveway. So at a level 3, it doesn't catch cars on the street anymore. Next, we have our human recognition. So this is recognizing faces and people as opposed to human detection. So recognition versus detection. Recognition is it recognizes my face because I've added my face for it to recognize. Human detection is where it'll just see if there is a human there. Next is vehicle detection. This is a beta that only is offered if you have the HomeBase 3. And then you have the pet detection, also again supported by the HomeBase 3. And then you have all other motion. If you don't have the HomeBase 3, it'll just do human detection and all other motions. And then we have our AI tracking. I have that turned on so that if it sees motion, it'll follow whatever that motion is until it walks out of whatever view it can grab. But being a 360 camera, it covers a lot of space there. And then we have our motion test mode. The red light on the front here will flash when it detects motion. It's got a little motion sensor over here. Okay, cool. So that can be used to adjust your detection sensitivity. All right, that is the motion detection section. We'll go ahead and head back to the main page here. Let's check out pan and tilt. So earlier we saw those preset positions. So I've created these preset positions. You can adjust them using these arrows here, just like that, so that it only shows what you want it to show. And then you can create up to 4 preset positions, and then it will automatically transition from one to the other to the next when you just click on that transition. Next is night vision. This is one that we can actually see right now because it is dark outside now. So it uses an IR LED that turns on when there's motion detection at night. Or if we want, we can turn on color night vision. And if we go back to our pan and tilt, we can now see with color night vision using the 100 lumen LED light on there. And then I am getting some glare on this left hand side because there is a post right there next to the camera, but you can see the color night vision is pretty decent. Or we can just say turn off the LED at night. Let's see what that'll look like. Okay, so this is no lights at all. No IR, no 100 lumen light itself. This is just using residual light in the area. Luckily, I have a floodlight camera over here. Let's see if we can look up high enough. Yep, there it is, my floodlight camera there. It's lighting up our driveway, and even with that light over there, and it's turned down pretty low, you can still see pretty dang well. All right, so we're gonna go with black and white night vision. That'll give us the best detection while also being nice and discreet. And lastly, we have power management here. So you can set your different selection for how you want to use your power. So we can say optimize battery life. This is basically just says, hey, your video length is a maximum of 10 seconds. And then you can say, you know what, actually I want optimal surveillance. And it'll bump your recordings up to 20 seconds. Or you can customize your recordings here. And if we click the little pencil there, we can then change our clip length, say, hey, I want clips anywhere from 5 to 60 seconds. And then you can adjust this as well and say, I want my interval between triggers. So if it sees something, how long it has to wait before it starts recording the next clip is the minimum is 5 seconds. And then the last thing we have here is ending the clip early if motion stops. So if motion stops in the camera, do we want it to keep recording that full 60-second clip, or do we want to let it just cut off because somebody walked out of frame? And then you can see here, no, battery life decreases significantly in this mode because the other ones are much more optimized to save battery life. We'll go ahead and leave that one on for now, see how the battery does with the solar panel up there. I think the solar panel it says 2 hours a day will give you optimal battery life use. And then lastly, we can see down here at the bottom, solar dashboard. This is where we can actually review how much power we're actually bringing in with that solar panel. I don't have any records yet because I just installed it. So that is one thing you can pull up and look at. You can go all the way up to 30 days and get a bar graph of like, hey, you're getting a ton of sun this day. We had really cloudy days here. It snowed for a whole week and now your thing's covered, you know, whatever it might be. But those are what options you have there. So that is power management. And you even have up at the top, it shows your solar panel, the battery, and 96% battery is what our battery's at. So those are the main tags. Now let's go ahead and move on to video settings. Up here we can turn on and off the watermark on our videos, so when it does record, does it leave a watermark in the top left corner of the screen or not? Streaming quality, I typically will leave that at auto. This is the quality of video streaming to your phone, and I usually want the best that I can get, but I also understand I don't always have the best service and it doesn't always have a perfect connection. So I can say, hey, you know what, auto, let it stream low quality if needs be, 4K if we got great connection. But you can also override that. You're like, you know what, I know I'm always going to have fantastic connection, 4K. Or if you're like, you know what, this thing is out in the sticks, don't even try to go for the higher quality, low quality 100% of the time. It'll send you 420p while still recording 1080, but it'll just send to your phone to like review the lower quality if you're trying to stream live. Next, we have our recording quality. So like I said, streaming is different than recording. It's streaming to your phone, recording on the device. So you have the option of a 4K HD resolution, but it is with high compression encoding. Or you can get a full 1080p resolution with the H.265 encoding. So that's the same encoding that like this camera uses, that I'm pretty sure my phone uses, that most cameras use is a H.265. But if you want to have 4K video to have better resolution, to be able to zoom in, that 8 times digital zoom that it talks about is with that 4K resolution, but that's with the high compression encoding. So that is recording quality, and then privacy zones. So this is where you can set up basically a black box on the screen, and it says this feature lets you block out the camera from seeing certain areas to preserve neighbors' privacy. So if like it's pointed at a neighbor's window, you don't want to look into their window. Like I know at night, like blinds are totally useless. You can see right through them because the lights are on inside, not outside. So you can just create this privacy zone so you're not actually looking in through their window. It won't block. It won't give you motion notifications, anything like that for any activity in that area, and it won't record that. It'll always be a black box over wherever you place it. However, make sure you read the fine print right here. It says to ensure real privacy, the camera's pan and tilt functionality will be disabled when the privacy zone feature is enabled. So that's something to keep in mind. Like if you don't want your camera moving around, that's just fine. You can create privacy zones. But if you want your camera to be able to track movement and move around with that movement, you can't use privacy zones. So that's something to keep in mind with your personal situation, is how it applies to you. And then just like creating activity zones, you can add a privacy zone by just hitting this plus button, and then you can move the box around, make it bigger, smaller, whatever it is. And you can say check, yep, and now that whole thing will be blocked and it will never look anywhere else. So that is our video quality section. If we go back to our main menu here, next is our audio settings. So we have our microphone, that's to be able to speak to people through the video. Audio recording is to turn on and off recording on the videos that are being recorded on the camera. And then our speaker volume. So that's when I'm speaking to somebody using my microphone, does it come out of the camera as low, medium, or high volume? So I'm just going to leave it right where everything is, microphone on, audio recording on, and speaker volume at medium.
Alright, so we are what should be outside of the range, but I'm now entering into the range of this camera. How well can you hear me? Is the car passing behind me? Did it interrupt what you could hear me saying? Or did you hear me just fine? And then I'm going to get closer and closer. How well does it sound? And now I'm standing almost exactly below you. Does it still sound the same? Does it adjust the volume for you? Or do I sound louder? Are we getting a lot of interruption with all the cars driving around?
So this is a test of the sound quality of this camera, as you can see right here, about 10 or 15 feet away. Back to our main page, we have notifications. So we can choose how we want to receive our notifications. So I think I mentioned this earlier, but most efficient is just a text notification. It says, hey, I saw a dog, I saw a car, I saw a person in the camera view. Okay, great. like who, what, when, where. Where full effect is it'll say, hey, I saw somebody, and if it can, it'll then send you a thumbnail. You can then review it and say, oh, okay, it's just so-and-so walking their dog across, that's walking past the sidewalk. And then you have the option to include thumbnail, which says, hey, you know what, it'll only send you a notification if it can get a thumbnail. So that's one thing, is you may not get notifications, or it can delay notifications if you're requiring it to send you a thumbnail, because it is having to send more information, gather more information, all that. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe you're like, you know what, I always got great connection, internet's no problem where I'm at, thumbnail included always is going to be a thing, and so you can do that. But in my situation, it's not always available. And then lastly is motion alerts are ringtone. So we can choose between like the default, a bell, and a whole bunch of other sounds. You can choose that. That's all up to you, totally customizable. Lastly, we have our general section where we can rename the device. So right now it's just nicknamed backyard. The next one we have is status LED. That is to turn on an LED light when it is recording. If you turn that on, that means the camera will have like a little blinking blue or red light to show that, hey, I'm recording you moving in camera, so that people know that they're being recorded. Next is our storage. So this shows our local storage. It says HomeBase 3, and I've used 84% is available, so we've used a little over 15%. Next is our mounting guide. We kind of went through that before. It just kind of gives you tips and instructions for mounting this guy. And then last is about the device. This is where it will tell you your model number, serial number, system version, IP address, MAC address, and all that stuff. And you can even check for firmware updates. And if you're having issues with it, maybe check for a firmware update first. But otherwise, we can go ahead and go down to our next one here, which is share device. And this is where you can share just this device. There is an option to share like your whole home, but if you want to share, hey, you know what, this camera is always showing the dogs, and my mom loves the dogs, so you share this device with your mom, and she can download the Eufy app and then be able to view it from there. And then lastly, we have our share your thoughts. This is where you can reach out to Eufy and say, hey, I'm having an issue with this. Hey, I love this feature. Hey, I'd like to see this feature. This is where you can contact them, whether it's via live chat, email, or phone call. So there's tons of options on how to get a hold of them. Eufy has made it a lot easier to get customer service now. So last thing I want to show you is from our home screen here. You can just click on the play button, and now we're going to go through just the options here on our live view. So we can have the option to record the video, we can take screenshots, we can hold down the mic and then speak to the camera itself, so whoever's out there will be able to hear me. And then we can turn our light on and off. And then we have our pan and tilt options here, so you can manually control the camera and make it point wherever you want it to go. And then you can even swipe over for more options, turn on and off your AI tracking. We can go to our presets, and it can actually then transition between our preset camera positions. And then we can also go into our night vision settings here, color night vision, or turn off. There we go. Next we have event. This will take you to your events page for this camera, and it'll show you a filter of all of the activity that it's caught on this camera. And then next we have sound, where we can turn sound on and off, so we can actually hear what's going on outside right now. And then lastly we have a 360 look around, where the camera will just pan around looking for anything going on. And then lastly we have our little light at the very top right corner. If we tap that, that goes into our manual alarm. It will set off an alarm. The light will start to flash. It'll then set off a siren, and you can choose whether you want it to be lights only, you want it to be sound only, sound from the home base as well, and then it will go off for 30 seconds, and then it will automatically turn itself off. You can also cancel it along the way. Let's go ahead and take you outside, and we'll be able to show you the lighting and show you what it looks like when we set off the alarm. All right, here we are. There's our camera. Let's go ahead and just demonstrate the light here. So there's the light on. Actually pretty decent. It is like a ring style light. So let's see if it follows me. Yep. It follows me around. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see the style that ring is, but it's just a loop around it. But it is pretty
decently bright at 100 lumens. And now we're going to go ahead and test out the alarm itself. We're going to go sound and light, confirm. So the white light flashes, you have a siren. Now you can turn it off. There you go. And then for comparison, we have our side door just right over there. And if we set that one off here, it's about the same sound, but it does have a red light rather than a flashing white light. So that's one thing that you can do. And you can actually coordinate this guy to coordinate with your string lights, your Eufy lights. If you have the Eufy outdoor LED lights, you can actually coordinate those with the alarm on these ones, so that if the alarm on these are set off, those lights will all turn red and start flashing, or you can have them do whatever it is you want. But yeah, there you go. Well, let's go ahead and go inside. We'll talk about any pros and cons that I may have run across so far, and my final thoughts.
All right, so I tested this guy out for about a week, and I was hoping to be able to come up with like a whole list of like pros and cons and wants and whatever. And honestly, because Eufy has put in and integrated so many changes to this that I appreciate and I've been asking for with all of their previous cameras, that this one now has, like, it's kind of awesome, and there's not a whole lot to add to it. The only things I can actually come up with is the SIM card. I was having trouble getting it to work with the SIM card. Come to find out, you just have to activate it. You'll just follow the instructions on that guy, and it'll talk you through the whole process of activating it. And I think it even comes with like 3 gigabytes of free data, so that you can get started without having to pay for a plan, just to try it out to see if it's even worth it. And I actually didn't do a tutorial on activating that SIM card because I might actually be giving this guy away at my 5,000 subscribers. So consider subscribing. And the next thing, honestly, it's the only other thing I can think of is, it's not even a negative, it's more of a positive if you ask me, but it's been snowing and raining every single day this week. And yet, if you look here, it has not gotten below 94% battery. That's fantastic to show that, like, it's just keeping this guy completely charged. Totally green, no problems. I might actually move it to a more high traffic area just to be able to test it out to see if I can drain it. And if that becomes like an issue, I'll make a follow-up video for that. But otherwise, like, it's doing really great. But that's kind of it. It does have a lot of cool benefits that we kind of went over in the app tutorial, talking about that it can identify dogs versus people versus cars. And it can even identify individuals that you can save pictures of them and say, hey, you know what, this is the mailman, just recognize him as the mailman. And then if you see the mailman come through at 11 o'clock at night, you know there's something wrong. I am surprisingly satisfied. It's an easy installation, no wires aside from the one that runs from your camera to your solar panel, but you don't have to worry about wiring it to power, to network, to any of that stuff. It can just connect. And it's fantastic if you have Wi-Fi, if you have the HomeBase 3 like we have here, or if you are using cellular data because you're out in the middle of nowhere where all you have as an option is cellular data. Those are all options to be able to use with this guy here. If you want to get this guy for yourself, go ahead and check out the link in the description of this video, as well as if you have any questions, leave those in the comments. And again, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.